What's up, fight fans? All right, welcome to Mr. Mustache MMA News. Getting right into it, today I want to discuss the possibility of Francis Ngannou leaving the UFC and what's going to happen with the UFC heavyweight division and the heavyweight title fight if that were to be the case. So recently, last week or about 2 weeks ago, I made a video describing on how I think that Francis and Jon Jones should be the next matchup for the UFC heavyweight belt. Jon Jones has been talking about making his heavyweight debut for a little over a year now. So I felt like that would be the right time, but it's now starting to seem like Francis isn't going to be fighting for the UFC anymore, and he really doesn't give a fuck. But with the UFC, it is a business. We got to keep the engine moving, and people are now discussing Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight belt, interim, undisputed. I'm not really sure how they're going to call that fight or how they're going to do it, but it seems like that's what everybody's talking about in the MMA community, and I couldn't agree more. If anybody deserves that shot again at the heavyweight strap, at least a final shot, it's Stipe Miocic. He's been basically radio silent since he lost the belt to Francis last year. And, it would almost be disrespectful to not give him that final shot before he hits his 40s. If he's not 40 already, he might be 39. And then you got Jon Jones, who, in a lot of people's eyes is the consensus light heavyweight GOAT, possibly the greatest mixed martial artist to grace us. We're not really sure. A lot of controversies involved, a lot of debates that can happen. And it's very exciting to see what the possibility is for Jon Jones moving up to heavyweight. He's a very big light heavyweight. He cuts a good amount of weight, 20, 30 pounds to make 205. So it's not out of the realm that he can weigh the same amount as Stipe or maybe even more for his debut. He's been bulking up the weight. It's been on Instagram. It's been all over the internet. The videos are there. He's putting in the work. He's working with Henry Cejudo now that he's out of Jackson Wink. So there's a lot of shit going on. And then you got Stipe Miocic, who's the greatest heavyweight in UFC history. He has the best title run in UFC history, the most defenses. He pretty much ran through the last era of heavyweights before he got into this era. And then he ran into Francis again, He made Francis look silly their first matchup. Francis went away, went back to the drawing board, became a whole new man with Eric Nixick and Extreme Couture. And it's been a really cool ride ever since. I feel kind of bad for Stipe. That last loss really hurt me. I'm a huge Stipe Miocic fan. But, the guy's a fucking bad motherfucker. He's got slick boxing, slick wrestling. But one thing I do want to go to, his bread and butter, and this is something that Big John McCarthy said, and I want to reiterate it. Big thing for Stipe Miocic is that he did have that wrestling in his back pocket against guys who weren't as elite as him. And he's not going to have that against Jon Jones. And like what Big John said, Jon Jones is going to be able to reverse that on the Stipe because Stipe won't be able to do that to him. Jon Jones is that elite wrestler. But people have been saying, too, he hasn't been training his wrestling in recent years, but they forget he's now with Henry Cejudo. The fact he's training with Cejudo again, he's getting that wrestling training in again. He's putting in the time. It seems like he's putting all the right pieces together, but with Jon Jones, you never fucking know. The guy is a basket case. I try to not talk about that in my videos, a lot of their personal lives or criminal records, criminal past, etc. And I think also, though, with Jon Jones being as crazy as he was, that might have also led to some of his success. And that might be true. Because people who are true to who they are more bound to succeed at what they want to do and what their goals are. I can reiterate, too, how Barry Bonds, I think it was when he was with the Giants back in the early 2000s, everyone, the whole team came together and said, Barry, you're a fucking asshole. You got to stop what you're doing, bud. What you're doing isn't, you're not a team player. You're too loud. You're causing distractions. You're partying too much. He's like, all right, fine. I'll chill the fuck out. I'll slow down, and I'll be the teammate you guys want me to be. And his numbers declined to the point to where his own teammates and his own coaches came back to him and said, hey, just be Barry, okay? Just be Barry. That's all you got to do. Just be yourself. That's what we want. We need to win, so I guess you got to be yourself. So they had to make that sacrifice for the team and for their winning, and that may not be the route you want to go when it comes to a purist and a morality standpoint, but, that's who Jon Jones is. This is cage fighting. These guys are not saints. These guys are not influences for your children. These guys lock themselves in a cage and they beat the fuck out of each other for anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes. That's how this sport goes. But I want to get into this matchup. Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic. Personally, I got Jon Jones. I just think that he's got all the tools to negate Stipe's wrestling, Stipe's boxing, everything that Stipe has on his former opponents, Jon Jones is going to have on him. And I think Jon Jones is just going to use all of his arsenal to keep him at bay and pick him apart, and possibly even use the wrestling against Stipe. And that's really what I think is going to happen, guys. Like, if Jon Jones steps in the octagon for his heavyweight debut against Stipe Miocic, I think Stipe is going to end up as the loser. You know, I really don't have much more else than that. I mean, I think Jon Jones still has the youth on his side. I think he has everything. I think he's got all the tools to beat Stipe Miocic. Unfortunately, I think Stipe is now too old, past his prime, to be able to use his bread and butter against Jon Jones. But that's that for today, guys. Please tell me what you guys think. Leave your comments in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, so I can keep putting out more content for you guys. Thank you very much. Mr. Mustache, MMA News, out. Thank you, fight fans. Let's fucking go.